Hello guys, thank you for tuning into another one of my videos. Once again, please keep sending me feedback. All one of you lovely people that do that, it definitely helps me to improve on every video that I have, both minor details and major things that I didn't even catch beforehand. So thank you once again for all that you do and tuning in. This week has been a fairly busy week. I feel like I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off between work and trying to absorb as much content as I can. It's definitely been a busy one. But the one that I will say about the content with critical thinking and logical fallacies is things that apply to everyday decision making. So things that you should kind of constantly be thinking about in one way or another. You don't really want to get trapped into that maze, but the content this week was really incredible. And yeah, let's get into it. So a large portion of the content that I actually reviewed this week was from a Dr. Sadler, who's a professor at Fayetteville, which is a university in South Carolina or North Carolina, somewhere in the South. And he actually is a really interesting guy because he had done a number of different things in regards to education. He worked at prisons and places like that, but he also obviously is teaching at a university now. But I'd already taken a Logics 101 class when I was back in college, so this is kind of a refresher. And it's nice when you get things like that because you forget the nuance in regards to key details, like kind of relearning or refreshing on the differences between issues, claims, and arguments, and all those good things. Really, to keep that updated and fresh in your mind is always a good thing. But the one thing it also made me do, because I'm at a different time in my life than I was back then, it made me kind of just think more deeply about things that are going on now and about logical fallacies themselves. And other than the content that I reviewed from Dr. Sadler, I would go out and try to find specific things written about critical thinking. And that's the strange thing, is that there's not too much written about critical thinking or logical fallacies, but you see them in whatever content that's put out there because it's in everything that anyone says, any point that anyone makes. There tends to be something in there like that. And the best examples, which it's hilarious that this is the case. Well, I shouldn't say hilarious, but it's ironic, is in politics. I mean, you can't go 5 words without hearing a logical fallacy in any one point or time. Whether or not that's on the right side or on the left side, it really doesn't matter. But politics aside, as I said, logical fallacies are something that come in on a daily basis. It's something that you can't necessarily avoid because it's happens so often. And just that's one thing I really liked about the content, was that it did provide the simple fact that logical fallacies are used because they do have value, whether or not that it's for the person using them or for the party that they're trying to protect. That's the reason that they're there, is because they are useful. But logical fallacies are obviously inherently negative. Like if you use logical fallacies, you have that metaphorical chink in your armor, something that somebody could use to skewer your argument. And that's an opportunity for you to lose in really whatever decision that you're trying to make, whatever point you're trying to make at any point in time. But I think what I didn't necessarily like about the content was it didn't emphasize the value of recognizing those logical fallacies in others' arguments. It said, yeah, you should recognize these in your own arguments and you should look internally. But if you can recognize those in other people's arguments, yeah, you have an opportunity to take advantage. But what I think is even more important is that logical fallacies help you determine intent. And when you can determine intent, then you know what to expect, or you can plan for where they're going next. And if you have the ability, if you have foresight, and if you have the ability to determine what actions someone else is going to make, ultimately you're going to be in a better position either way. So great content, busy week. Absolutely had a wonderful time with it, though. It's great to keep up to date like that. I feel like my brain's running a million miles a minute, but that's kind of a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down either, is chasing those questions on everyday decision making, because there's some things that you don't need to put that much thought into. And if you just sit there and think about everything, you're going to drive yourself crazy. But thank you guys once again. It was a wonderful week. Tune in next week for another video, and have a good one.